Greetings. Greetings. My name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core New Core, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor within the point of view that is herein presented. But that's the focus. And if you're a student and never think of yourself as an instructor and are looking for some other point of view than what you already have, or more of a view than what you already have, this place is for you. There's 3 things on my list today. One of them is the ladder barrel walkovers. The other is, can you hear that, how windy it is outside? Fly TVA, ribs to buttocks. Okay, that's number 2. And number 3 is iceberg metaphors. Okay, so perhaps a frivolous day of broadcasting, but actually very germane and very to the point. Because my number 1 is, what do I call it? Yeah, ladder barrel walkovers. On my social media, I'm connected to a source that I shared in Facebook that showed the instructor standing next to the student, sitting on the ladder barrel with one foot hooked underneath a rung and leaning back to create a vertical second leg, and then roll down off of that onto the barrel into extension to a point of contact of a box that allowed then the reach or flip over into standing, and then the remount of flexing forward, hands on box, body in, connected to the barrel before the lunge of the lift, and the result of the one leg reaching back to anchor and the other leg vertical to climb up as you do in the tree on the short box. So really it's the short box on the tree, but it's coming off and going back on. And I thought it was a good example of the role of the instructor in terms of orchestrating how it happens and being close enough in case it falls out of intention, in case it goes south, right? There to protect. Well done by the student. And it was definitely classically expressed, and it was done with control, and the instruction was right on, and the interaction between instructor and student was apparent, right? In addition to that, if you're listening or if you don't know, when you come off of the barrel, instead of coming to standing, you can slide out into a front split. So you're in a front split facing the barrel that you just came off of. You're upright in your torso, and your arms make opposite rotations, 3 times in one direction, and then 3 times in the opposite direction. And from there, you come out of your split back over the barrel. It was nice. It was well done. It was fun to share something that had so much character to it, and very Pilates-esque in a lot of ways, in a lot of levels. So number 2. So in my stream on Facebook this morning, I think, I actually shared this technical invitation to a workshop on TVA, also known as the transversive dominance. Okay? Transversive dominance. And it had a picture of a student on all fours with a big ball at the top of their head pressed against the wall, and I imagine making the effort to reach out and touch the wall while you're gaining your stability from the tension you've got to the wall, through the ball. But here's why am I telling you this? Because you know about core new tension. They don't. And what's important for you is to be able to see, what I think, is see how the technical world of physios and physical therapy and biology, biomechanics, all of that world of science that mostly considers the biology is focused on the TVA, the transversive dominance. So look it up, right? Study it. Why? Why am I telling you this? And why does, I like the title, Fly TVA, like it's an airline, and then right after that it goes ribs to buttocks. And it's like, are those places? And so here in Cornu are the ribs, right? And the ribs connect down and into the hips, and the major musculature that goes from ribs to the buttocks is the TVA. So within MMP, the TVA is a critical part of the biology that's accomplishing core new tension. Right? And I had posters for workshops that had this phrase ribs to buttocks and also the phrase knuckles to neck. And people showed up just to figure out or want to know what that meant. So within MMP, the TVA is a big deal because the TVA connects ribs to buttocks. And number 3. So iceberg metaphors. This whole topic has just pushed its way into today's broadcast because, again, on social media, someone shows an image of an iceberg and they show 10% of the iceberg that's on the top, and then they show 90%, and honestly, I can't remember the word. I think it was practice, which makes sense, right? And to me, making the point that it's all in the practice, everything that's really there is in the practice, and theory is much less important than the practice that is the bulk of the iceberg. In this case, the thing you're talking about. Within the MMP point of view, without theory, there would be no practice. And it's the quality of the theory that gives you the dimension and depth of the iceberg. And so I had, what did I say there? Something about the person extolling the virtue or the necessity of all the experience, and that theory is only 10% of it. They're talking to and pointing to what it takes to get there in terms of being in a Pilates body. Maybe that's too abstract in general, but it takes effort, and you just can't get it overnight. It takes routine and application and practice. It takes practice. I'm talking about or pointing to the theory, and it's in that theory that you get there. And so it's in the quality of the theory, I said that. It's in the depth, it's in the breadth, dimension, and depth of the iceberg, of what you're talking about. Okay? And so it only stands to reason in human nature that to be dismissive and marginalize theory for the sake of the practice that you know it takes, and that the bulk of what you know, assumedly, is more than enough to get you there in the practice that is required. My point is that the quality of your view produces more faster. You get better results. You get better results. And in the case of being a Pilates instructor, the results are being able to do the mat, and if not, some facsimile of that, in that it flows through a progressive pattern, and it has an ideal purpose, or it has a purpose to it. I think when the pressure of your credentials making your way as a Pilates instructor are already, it seems to me, hard pressed to stay as anything more than something other than being focused on Pilates as an exclusive subject. Yeah, I think it usually takes affluence to, well, I think by evidence, affluence can do whatever they want, so the more affluent you are, the more likely you are to be able to maintain a Pilates studio that's totally dedicated to Pilates. And even when you're not, what matters to me is that you're at least aware of the MMP point of view, that there's an ideal within Joe's original work, and that everything comes out from that. My closing comment. You have to decide for yourself. You can actually decide sensationally for yourself. See, a lot of what I talk about is the theory, the essence of what it is and why it might be that way. And that's why I hope that someday there will be people interested in making a presentation on CT and MMP. Just a presentation, 90 minutes maybe, 2 hours at best. Paid before you start. All you're doing is explaining and helping people under pressure find foundation for what they already know, upon which to stand with more confidence. Especially because they at least have more awareness of a point of view that intrudes upon the assumed subjectivity of Pilates. Why would you ever want to explain why something is what it is when you're in the business of promoting the unknowable? And why ever would you do that? See, the great thing is, I think, that Pilates is very much stands within science, and did so before science caught up with it. Okay? Still to this day. And you're way out in front and on a different plane. You're looking from a different point of view, which is the presumption of an ideal within. So how to be a presenter? Quality bespeaks itself. I think because the calmer I got about who I am and what I'm about as a Pilates instructor and what my role is, I found much more, not peace, even though alert in the moment, but peace, as to what was going on and my participation in it. That's why that demonstration of the walk over on the ladder barrel, and see, it can start, it's called that because with just the ladder barrel out there in space and proportions to body correct, you can walk forward and just turn into or walk over into it and then come back out of it. Why am I telling you this? Just because it was a good example of presence in the moment for the instructor participating in the student's performance. So thank you for that. Life can't live forever. Read between the lines. See behind the curtain. Add 2 and 2. Direct your thinking. Because if you don't, somebody already is. And Geist, may you get there.